This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, well, let's get into the Monday Night Raw review here on the WWE Podcast for this September 2nd. Hope all of you are doing well. And we have a kind of a reset here in WWE with fall officially beginning, well, unofficially starting in September. But we have the next PLE, WrestlePalooza, on deck. We don't yet have AJ Lee. We don't yet have Brock Lesnar. Both of those, presumably, but not confirmed, are going to be on WrestlePalooza. Of course, they could wait till the next PLE in October, but if they want it to really be a big impact show for the first one on ESPN, then yeah, you'd imagine they're going to have some big returning stars coming back for the first time in a while. And the I would say there's a lot more right now. I think there's a lot more hype for AJ Lee's return than Brock Lesnar to come back and finally face John Cena, because AJ Lee hasn't been in the company in so long. And I will say, if they don't bring back AJ Lee and it's Rhea Ripley, as great as Rhea Ripley is, it would be a disappointment. I mean, this is set up for AJ Lee. Has to be. I mean, even Becky Lynch in her promo on Raw was addressing the audience. You know, they're fools for chanting for somebody that doesn't even work here. So everyone knows that we know that they know that we know that it's probably going to happen. And if it doesn't, I mean, that would be a massive letdown on WWE's part. If they think somehow Rhea Ripley is going to be a benefactor of this story, or of course, Nikki Bella is going to somehow be a benefactor of the story, very unlikely that the crowd would accept anyone other than AJ. It's AJ Lee or bust. That's it. So yeah, we'll talk about that with the promo with Becky Lynch and CM Punk. We'll talk about another really horrible botch on Monday Night Raw with the Kabuki Warriors and Roxanne Perez. That was nearly as bad, somehow, nearly as bad as the Nikki Bella Becky Lynch spot on the PLE, which is still completely inexcusable, just horrific. And I know I keep harping on it. A lot of people do too, but I've never seen a botch that bad. At least I shouldn't say never. It's been a long time since I've seen a botch that bad in the ring. I mean, it's almost like, you know, you had two people that have never been inside the ring before for that particular spot. And this Monday Night Raw, I mean, again, we had another botch. That was, I mean, I don't know how that one happens. And even the announcers this time, though, unlike the Becky Lynch spot, went with it. And we'll talk about that botch in just a few minutes as well. But first, welcome to the show. This is the WWE Podcast. As we go here, we're live here, so to speak, every single week. Multiple times a week, I'll put out a show. This one's the Monday Night Raw review. I have a weekend review. I do a mailbag on Fridays. And then we have a team, a really good team that does After Dark, that does the SmackDown review. And we're still looking for somebody for NXT. If anyone is interested in the NXT spot to do reviews every single week, let me know. You can hit me up at mailbag@wwepodcast.com. All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's dive into Monday Night Raw. That was live from Paris, France. And we had CM Punk shown waiting in the parking garage. We had Adam Pearce show up and telling Punk that he knew why he was waiting, but he encouraged him to wait inside, and Punk declined. Jey Uso was shown walking through a mob of fans in the concourse area and then made his entrance. And we had Jey question what would have happened in the World Championship match had he not helped Roman Reigns. He wondered what would have happened had he listened to Roman's advice and focused on himself. And Jey said, "You don't mess with family." And Jey said Reigns was laid up in the hospital. He called out Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. So Roman Reigns is out indefinitely, according to storyline. So I don't know how long that'll be. It could be past WrestlePalooza. You don't say out indefinitely if it's just going to be a couple of weeks. Indefinitely means like at least a month. So it could be for the next PLE in October that we're building for Roman Reigns' return. He may not compete at the WrestlePalooza event, which would really be shocking, but not floor me. It would just be shocking in the sense that they really bring out all the stops for when they're debuting on a new platform. So Roman Reigns not there would be a bit of a shock, but at the same time, having him build for the next PLE in October would also be, I think, smart as well, having Roman on to build for the next one. I mean, everything doesn't stop after WrestlePalooza, of course. I mean, we've got much more to go. So, anyway, let's continue with this promo here as Jey Uso. Again, he called out Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, and LA Knight comes out, big reaction, and he said regardless of how anyone else felt, he believed in himself and believed he would be world champion, and said that he, Jay, and Punk all lost the match, and Seth still holds the belt. He said that some people say Jay lives in his cousin's shadow. Knight said he doesn't know about that, but he knows Rollins lives in his wife's shadow. And Knight took issue with Jay breaking up a pin during the four-way, saying it could have all been avoided. And he also said that if Jay didn't understand, he would get him up to speed quickly. And he told him about, Jay told him about bringing him up to speed. And that's when Breaker and Bronson come out, and Knight said that they were missing their babysitter, which is funny. Breaker and Reigns put Reigns put Heyman in the hospital, and Breaker said that should concern Jay and Knight because there was no one to hold them back, and the fans interrupted by singing Roman's name. It was nice to see, as good as Paul Heyman is, I understand he's the mouthpiece of the group and has helped every star and every faction he's been a part of. We do need to hear Bronson and Breaker more often. They can't just be these musclehead, robotic type of wrestlers where they just do what they're told and that they have no autonomy over themselves and their actions. It's nice to hear a little bit from them, what's going on inside their heads, and get them some experience on the mic. You got to do it. You can't just lean on Heyman forever. So much like Breaker had a quote breakout performance, no pun intended, a few weeks back, this one was about Bronson Reed and seeing what he could do on the microphone, and I think he delivered. So then we had Breaker tell the crowd that Reigns was in the hospital because he and Reed put him there. And Breaker said he and Reed were a couple of dogs off the leash without Heyman there. And that he was going to, he threatened to put Jay and Knight in the hospital right next to Reigns. And eventually, as you'd imagine, this led to a tag team matchup challenge for later in the night that obviously Jay and Knight accepted. And this was, again, it was a nice setup, and I miss Heyman. But did I? I know that some people that the analysis I'm reading right now, this person did. I really don't. I didn't really miss Paul Heyman because it was a breath of fresh air to hear directly from Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, the two guys that this whole group is about. In the large plan, the group is really about Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker because Seth doesn't need it. Seth does not need this group. Seth is already a walk-in Hall of Famer. Any group, its purpose, as I've said a million times, is about helping build new stars. And so the group is about two guys that they have handpicked and the crowd has decided that they're on board with to push to that next level and eventually be main eventers or multi-time WrestleMania main eventers, as we have put Braun Breaker in that category of, almost unfairly. I think having him be put at that type of level is, I mean, you talk about a bar that is nearly never achieved. I mean, name like today's current stars, name somebody, like 5 people that are multi-time main event stars that are still active today. Main event. It's difficult. So to put Braun Breaker in that category, that's, putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but I mean, I'm not against it. I don't think it's impossible, but I also think it's kind of a difficult bar to put ahead of Braun Breaker already. But we'll see if he delivers, and I think he might. He's certainly on track for it. He's got more than the physical ability. He just needs to continue to work on the other stuff. So we then have backstage Sky approached Asuka and Kairi and apologized for what had happened last week, and Asuka laughed and said it was okay. She said they're family, and Asuka said she and Sane would take care of Judgment Day for her, and Sky asked if they needed help. Sane tried to accept, but Asuka said they didn't need help like Ripley does. After Asuka walked away, Kairi told Sky everything would be okay. So even though Asuka says everything's okay, her actions speak louder by saying, kind of rejecting any help that that was offered by Io Sky. So we then have the Kabuki Warriors take on Raquel and Roxanne Perez. The match went 11 and a half minutes with the Kabuki Warriors beating Raquel and Roxanne. And this was a victory by submission after the Asuka lock was put in on Perez. And the match was all right up until that just terrible botch that was done. Another move that was sold that should not have been sold. Another kick that it just, even the announcers went with it. It was like 2 feet away, like not even close. And again, I don't know what's going on lately. I don't know what it is. It's 2 for 2 here, and bad things come in threes. So we'll see if a third horrendous botch occurs. Luckily, these botches are not resulting in injury, which sometimes they can. It's just resulting in laughable, take me out of the moment, roll your eyes type of moments. And that happens when you have botches this bad. But, it ended with an Asuka lock. And you could even hear the referee say, Asuka lock, Asuka lock. You could hear the referee on the camera mic tell Asuka that she has to hit the finish. So that makes it twice as bad after the terrible botch. And then, obviously the match ends. So the crowd still went with it. Luckily for them, the crowd, anything you do in that ring with overseas, I mean, you could just run the ropes and the crowd will go crazy and find some song to sing, which I'm not a fan of. As I've said, I'm not a fan of that style of a crowd that finds a way to make a sing-along out of everything that happens in the ring all the time. And they don't give the show a chance to breathe and let things just happen before reacting. Everything's just like preemptively reacting to things. It's not my cup of tea, as I've said. But, hey, they bring a lot more energy than the U.S. crowds. However, I don't view more energy as just a better experience, a better viewing experience. It's not a consistent relationship. Like there are drawbacks, and it does reach a point where it's like, all right, that's enough. That's enough. Okay, stop. Can we just can we focus on what's going on in the ring instead of whatever the hell you're chanting? That's how I feel, which I've pissed off anybody who's not outside or is outside the U.S., I'm sure. Yeah. All right. Well, continuing. We have Dragon Lee take on Finn Balor, and we had this match go 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Finn Balor did beat Dragon Lee, and the finish was a coup de grace and got the victory on Dragon Lee, which the crowd was really in the corner of Finn Balor, and why not? Yeah, why not? Finn Balor has been a shadow of himself since joining the Judgment Day. He's been a tag team champion, multiple time tag team champions inside of the Judgment Day. He's played politics in the Judgment Day. He's been kind of a manipulator, all of that, and he's played that role well, but it feels still beneath Finn Balor and what he's capable of. Finn Balor is a guy that no one's talking about. He's just kind of this mainstay that has been forgotten inside the Judgment Day, and we forget how damn good Finn Balor can be. And when you see him in this role, you're like, oh, wow. Yeah. And you hear the crowd, chanting for him. It reminds you of what could be if they just dissolve the Judgment Day. And there's certainly a case to be made to dissolve the Judgment Day at this point. It has more than run its course. But all right. Backstage, Io and Nikki hugged and exchanged words until Kairi and Asuka interrupted. After Nikki left, Asuka said she and Sane would help Sky with her match against Vakur, and Sky wanted to go it alone. Asuka mentioned that Sky flying solo didn't work out for her at SummerSlam, and after Asuka walked away, Sane tried to play a good cop, but Asuka called for her and ran away. So Kairi seems to be sympathetic to Sky, but Asuka is the ringleader in this whole thing, trying to brainwash Kairi into staying with her and doing whatever she deems morally correct. But so we'll see how this all plays out. It seems as if, as we all know, Asuka is going to turn heel and then go after Io, and then it's a matter of what does Kairi do? She seems conflicted here because she's trying to soften things and make friends and play nice, and Asuka continues to seemingly control her. So then we have Finn and JD meeting up with Dom backstage. Dom said they had to do something about AJ, and Adam Pearce showed up and said he saw what happened during Balor's match. and it wouldn't happen again. Pierce banned Balor and McDonough from ringside, and Balor was all smiles and told Dom he guessed they would be there in spirit. So, yeah. So you're thinking, hey, just like kind of like Seth Rollins with no backup, what's Dom going to do? Well, we got an answer to that later in the night. We'll talk about that. Then we get Kofi, Xavier, and Grayson Waller versus Penta, the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, a 6-man tag. And this match went, it was kind of short. It did seem rather brief. And it was 8 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock, with Penta, Eric, and Ivar beating Kofi, Xavier, and Grayson. And the finish was kind of a clumsy spot where Eric tossed Woods while Ivar was jumping off the ropes. And it looked like Ivar was intending to splash Woods, but it was poorly executed. And then Penta followed up with a Mexican Destroyer. That always scares me. That move scares me so much. And he pinned Woods. So Penta gets the victory. Kind of a weird ending. And we get a victory that I don't know what it's going to mean moving forward in the tag team division here. I know it's a 6-man tag, but the War Raiders are a legit tag team. The New Day are a legit tag team of Xavier and Kofi. So, I mean, I don't know what this means. Does somebody get a shot at the tag titles? Does it have any impact whatsoever? It's just kind of a throwaway fill-in match. Time will tell. But it's good to see the War Raiders kind of doing something, though. That's a team that kind of comes and goes as well. They shoot into relevance, get a tag team title match, and then you don't see them for months on end. And then you're wondering where they are. Are they fired? Are they still here? Is somebody injured? And then they come back, and albeit this was kind of an awkward performance, they come back, make an impact. Crowd seems to slowly be getting back with them, and it's possible that they have a tag team title match, but it's never, ever seemingly a focal point for WWE. And I don't think it ever really will be. All right, so AJ Styles comes out. Crowd loved it. Crowd was super into AJ Styles. Big time. So Dom and AJ here for the Intercontinental Championship. Judgment Day, again, was banned from ringside. And Dom attacks Styles from behind to start. And Cole, once again, doing what Cole does, coming up with stats that no one's thinking about that are just so... It's so cool to hear him come up with these things because no one's ever going to know this without hearing Cole, who does his homework. And he said it was only the second time that the Intercontinental title has been defended in France. He said that Shawn Michaels beat Bob Backlund in 1993. That aired on French TV, and Styles hit a running powerbomb after that. So did anybody know that? These factoids that Michael Cole comes out with, I really appreciate the hell out of them. It shows that he's thinking deeper than most. He's doing things that he doesn't need to. Again, if these aren't being fed to him, I'm giving him credit for maybe something he's not doing, but rather some production team member or Triple H telling him or whatever. But I'm going to give Cole credit here until I hear otherwise with these little factoids that he gives us. So I appreciate that. So the match went 16 minutes. And the finish was Styles setting up for his finish, the phenomenal forearm. But then El Grande Americano, which is the Ludwig Kaiser version, grabbed his foot while the ref was tied up with Dom. And Americano loaded his mask and headbutted the chest of Styles. And Dom hit another frog splash from the top and got the victory. So nothing, crazy about this. I mean, AJ was chasing Dom for the Intercontinental title forever. And then we get a finish that is the most predictable finish for this. It's not the wrong finish. But now where do they go from here? Does AJ continue? Does he try to rally for another title shot and maybe get it at WrestlePalooza? Are additional men added to this where it's some kind of multi-person Intercontinental title match at WrestlePalooza? Or is the Intercontinental title not involved in the PLE at all? All three of those options are on the table. But I would advocate for AJ Styles kind of one more solid run with one of those mid-card belts. And I think that he's deserving of it. He can still perform at a high level, but I know, that his days are extremely numbered inside the ring because of his age and the mileage on his body, despite the fact that he has gotten himself into incredible shape at his age. And I commend the hell out of him for that. But I mean, physics are physics, science is science here, and time is always going to win. It's undefeated. And so there's my advocation for AJ Styles to have an Intercontinental title run. So then we had backstage, Jackie Redmond asked LA Knight if he and Jey Uso could put aside their differences and work together in the main event. Knight said he and Jey could survive together or die apart. And Knight said that if Jey did dirt, he would give dirt. And Jey showed up and said Breaker and Reed got his cousin. He tried to do his 4 letters, 1 word line, but Knight cut him off and said the word was yeah. And then Cole hyped the NXT 8-man tag team match main event for Tuesday's show. Again, we're looking for an NXT host if you'd like to talk about NXT on a weekly basis. There's the plug again for that. Rhea Ripley then spoke with CM Punk, who was waiting for Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, and Ripley said she was sorry about what happened to Punk at Clash, and Punk was cordial while saying he knew Ripley had her own issues lately. Adam Pearce showed up and told Punk that he was told that Seth Rollins was already in the building, and he questioned how that could be and said he would take care of business. We then had a Rusev vignette air, which is kind of all he's gotten lately in terms of mic time, but it's something. And he spoke about 2 friends walking into a war and how only one walked out. Rusev said he's not a bully, he's a beacon. He said that if Sheamus extends his arm, then maybe they could be friends again. And Rusev issued a warning to the rest of the roster. So, okay, they're going to put these 2 back together. Can Rusev do something that doesn't involve Sheamus? I know if they're going to be a tag team that they could run roughshod and they could be tag team champions, and the tag team championship or the tag team division just generally always needs help by default. But it feels like Rusev is stuck in this endless loop of Sheamus storylines. And there's no disrespect to Sheamus, but there was clearly no plan for Rusev here. By bringing him back, it's a name that the fans recognize. He has some star power attached to him, but he hasn't broken through the star level where he left. I mean, he's right back into it here. He's right back where he left off with Sheamus. And it's not a bad thing per se. It's better than him not being on television at all. But it feels like that there was no plan for Rusev. There's just none. It's just, hey, let's do the bare minimum, put him back in his comfort zone where we're comfortable with putting him, and we'll leave him there. So a bit discouraging if you're a Rusev fan, but not alarming, as if, he just was off TV and there's nothing going on here. And yeah, so, all right. So CM Punk comes out, and Punk said he was going to hijack the show until Seth comes out. And even if that meant he had to sing songs with his friends in Paris. He calls us friends now. And he said he'd be in the ring until Rollins faced him man to man. Rollins' music played, but Becky comes out and said she was the man that Punk would have to deal with. And Punk said it had nothing to do with Lynch, who said it had everything to do with her family. And Lynch said she had to listen to Punk berate her husband, the greatest man she's ever known. And then Punk said her husband is a coward. And Lynch said the fans were chanting Punk's name during her matches, which let her know that they didn't care about her or the hard work she was putting in, and the crowd chanted for Punk. Lynch said that Punk isn't the voice of the voiceless. He's the poster child for apathy. And then Lynch said the fans didn't carry her to WrestleMania. She got herself there, just as she and her husband got the business to where it is today, which of course is just ludicrous. I mean, the fans are solely responsible for getting Becky Lynch to the main event of WrestleMania. I mean, because now look, WWE can sometimes see things coming and manipulate fans' responses accordingly, but this was a 100% fan-induced support of Becky Lynch that was organic and real. And what was it? Was it SummerSlam 2018, something like that, when she snapped on Charlotte and the crowd just went nuts for her? And even after that, WWE still tried to correct course to slap the hands of the fans and say, no, you're still going to try to hate her. And the fans were just continue to reject it. And they said, no, we're moving forward with Becky as our person. And yeah, this was not in the cards for Becky Lynch until the fans willed it to happen. So, but of course, I mean, as a heel, you can say this stuff. As a heel, you can. I just, I'm sure there's part of Becky Lynch that believes this. But so we then have Lynch say that she and Rollins need Punk to get out of the way, and a shut the F up chant we're going on. WWE is trying to bleep the F part. It didn't really work well, but she said they wished him the best in his future endeavors, and said that Punk said he's the best in the world, and he said that fans chant his name if he's a champion or not, and he talked about the cities he worked in, which the fans in Paris didn't like, but he noted that Lynch and her husband weren't on the shows, and said Rollins hides behind his title, Paul Heyman, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and now he's hiding behind his wife. And Punk said Lynch is much more than somebody's wife. She's the man, and that she has bad taste in men and married a bum. And Punk said Rollins needs to know that the issues between them will never be over. Seth Rollins walks on stage with no music, just kind of walks out there, and he's mocking Punk by saying he'd been looking for him all night, and said that if Punk had something to say, he should come on the stage and say it to his face. Punk tried leaving the ring, but Lynch blocked him, and once Punk got around her, Rollins walked to the back, and Punk turned around, and Lynch slapped him and continued to slap him. AJ Lee's chant broke out for like the third time at that point, and Lynch told Punk that he's pathetic and said he would make Rollins regret ever cashing in on him, and Lynch would regret ever putting her hands on him. And Lynch already said that she regrets putting her hands on his sweaty body, and talked about, his nether regions getting sweat all over her sweatshirt. I don't know. She had to throw it out. It was kind of weird. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I think Becky Lynch did a terrific job here. Right now, I'm enjoying this short detour that she's going to be having with her husband, where their storylines rarely converge and they're in the same story. I like this so far. Maybe it's because they're both heels that it works, and they don't have to worry about their chemistry on air that was not present the last time they were baby faces together as a team. So I think this is good. And Becky Lynch has kind of been reinvigorated a bit, even as Women's Intercontinental Champion, and the whole Nikki Bella nonsense that happened, the bad spot, kind of been erased a bit, because Becky Lynch did a really nice job here. I enjoyed her interactions with CM Punk. Now, the idea, though, that Becky Lynch is able to, hit CM Punk, and Punk isn't able to respond and retaliate simply because she's a woman. Well, number one, you guys know I hate that rule. Okay. I think it is preposterous. It really doesn't, it doesn't make any sense in real life, or especially in a fantasy environment in which everything's controlled and you're protecting each other. It especially doesn't make sense. There is no law that says that if someone's of a certain sex that they're able to attack you, and because just by them being born a certain sex that prevents them from ever being arrested from attacking the opposite sex because, well, hey, I'm a woman or I'm a man. It doesn't work that way. The hilarity of all of this is that Becky Lynch calls herself the man. She came out and has said she's a self-professed man. Well, both of them are very strong proponents of believing that if you just say you're a man or a woman, that you are such, right? I mean, they are very strong proponents of that and have been outwardly. Okay. Now, yes, I'm bringing the culture in a bit, but it needs to be, because WWE themselves has all this nonsense regarding that. And, if it's true that all you have to do is say you're a man or say you're a woman and you are one, well, then I guess CM Punk has the right in WWE land to retaliate. I mean, she just said she's a man. Why wouldn't CM Punk say, well, wait a minute, you said you're a man, right? And then wham, GTS on Becky Lynch, which of course ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. Despite the fact that it completely is it's contrary to their own beliefs, which in WWE's beliefs, or rather TKO's beliefs, in things that I'll kind of leave there. And the worst part about this is, yes, AJ Lee is likely to come back, and also it's woman on woman. But again, so we're going to have to watch Punk get beat up by Becky in this upcoming likely tag team match with her and Seth versus Punk and AJ. So we're going to have to watch Becky do whatever she wants, and vice versa, have AJ do whatever she wants to Seth Rollins, and have them just stand there and cower and do nothing because, oh, you're a woman. Oh, there's that magic shield again. It's nonsense. It's garbage. It doesn't work in real life, and it doesn't work, to me, even more in fantasy world. If you hit somebody, it's called self-defense, and self-defense is not limited to you being a certain sex to give you these magical protection powers that shield you from any lawful retaliation. So I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I could go on and on about this because it's not just, this is just the latest issue, latest version of this big issue that I think is has been in a problem in wrestling world specifically for a long time, because it's also a pro wrestling environment and everyone knows what pro wrestling is. So like, why are we not able to see them retaliate? I mean, if you're stupid enough as a woman to attack somebody that is many, many times over stronger and faster than you, then that's on you. That's on you. You don't get to hide behind this imaginary shield, especially in a world where, according to your worldview, you can just declare your whatever sex and then you just magically are. Which, again, if we're going to pretend we live in your world, then okay, I guess fair is fair then. Yeah. So anyway, maybe I'll make a YouTube video about this and get some likes about, well, probably not likes, but maybe I will see what the reaction is. I'm sure some of you are already just like, this misogynistic a-hole. Explain that to me. It's not. It's just logic. And unfortunately, logic is the antidote to that whole worldview. So we then get Michael Cole talking about John Cena making his final appearance at a WWE show in Chicago on Friday's SmackDown. Kind of crazy, actually. Kind of crazy. And there is some rumors floating around, rightfully so, that CM Punk could be on SmackDown in Chicago on Friday, perhaps to bring in AJ Lee, although now there's talk of maybe AJ Lee not waiting until SummerSlam, Survivor Series, which is possible too, but I don't think they could keep that momentum going. I mean, you can't build that long for AJ Lee. Good grief. But I think it should be for WrestlePalooza. But we'll see. I mean, if they bring Punk in on Friday, that's probably a good sign. Now, we had Adam Pearce backstage. Punk demanded to know where Seth Rollins was, again, hunting down Seth. And Pearce said Rollins left, but he would be on Raw next week. Punk asked where SmackDown would be held on Friday. There you go. And Pearce said it's in their hometown of Chicago. Tremendous. And that's when he walked away. But why would Punk show up on SmackDown if Pearce just said that Rollins is going to be on Raw? There's no logic there other than for Punk to appear in his hometown because it's his hometown. So for him to ask where SmackDown's going to be held, why would he even ask that? It's not like Rollins has been showing up consistently on SmackDown. So whatever, fine. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed then take on Jey Uso and LA Knight in the main event. This match went 14 minutes. With Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed defeating Uso and Knight. The finish was Breaker spearing Jey while Cole was reminding everybody of Jey's injured ribs, and he covered Jey for the 3 count. So Jey Uso takes the fall. The out for Jey is that he says he has injured ribs, but who doesn't, with Braun Breaker spearing half the roster. And then after the match, Breaker continued to beat down Jey. Knight tried to help, but Reed tossed him over the French broadcast table, and Breaker hit a running spear on Jey Uso. Reed went up top and hit Jey with a tsunami. Jimmy Uso's entrance music played, and he ran to the ring with a chair. And then Breaker and Reed exited the ring. Jimmy checked on Jey while the fans chanted Jimmy's name, and the camera mic picked up Jey, telling Jimmy that he couldn't do this and needed Jimmy's help. So, hey, I don't mind Jimmy being involved in something significant. Jimmy Uso has been, without a shadow of a doubt, in the shadow of his brother. Jey Uso has superseded his brother from a singles perspective. That's not to say Jimmy can't do the same in some way. But for now, at least in the short term for Jimmy, this is the most significant thing he can do, is to try to reunite with his brother, maybe even get a little bit of the OG bloodline back together more consistently with Jimmy, Jey, and Roman, all finding common enemies with the Vision and having a bit of a rivalry moving forward. I can foresee maybe again in the Survivor Series War Games match we have an OG Bloodline reunion against the Vision. I mean, that would, although require more members of each group to be, well, added to the Vision and brought back to the OG Bloodline. So we'll see if that takes place, but I'm kind of ready to move on from the Bloodline just completely, no matter what version of it comes back. But all right, so the end result was kind of a nice tease for Jimmy and Jey reuniting to fight off Breakker and Reed. And it's not like Jimmy and Jey are going to be fighting for tag titles, although Jimmy and Jey fighting for tag titles actually would, I think, be a good spot for both men. Jey is coming off of a largely failed experiment with him as world champion, and despite what you may think, it kind of was a failure for WWE to take the belt off of him that quickly after WrestleMania is unheard of, nearly unprecedented. And Jimmy hasn't been doing much of anything other than just getting his ass kicked left and right every time he turn around, and then he's gone, he's back, and all the rest of it. So, and look, Jimmy's also going to be welcoming a baby into the family in the next little less than a year now. So, if you're going to strike with Jimmy and make some kind of impact, having Jimmy and Jey reunite as the Usos to chase the World Tag Team titles, even though it's not with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, it still would be fun because they haven't reunited as a team officially, just the Usos, in quite a while, as they have kind of split. Jey actually did something significant. Jimmy didn't. And I think it would benefit both men at this point in their careers. So we'll see if they do that. So again, a decent Raw coming off of a PLE. We'll see if they build anything else here to WrestlePalooza, which takes place on, was it September 20th? I think is the actual date, September 20th. So we'll see. Now, this is a report. I'm getting this directly from Wrestling Inc. Big fan. So shout out to them. And they said that former Divas champion AJ Lee is reportedly headed back to WWE 10 years after her retirement from the company to tag with her husband at WrestlePalooza. According to Fightful Select, WWE is planning to have Lee return to the ring at their premium live event on ESPN's new streaming service on September 20th, and her on-screen return is imminent. Rumors about Lee's return began swirling on Sunday after Becky Lynch appeared to low blow Punk during her husband Seth Rollins' Fatal 4-Way, as we just described here. And Brian Alvarez also reported on Tuesday that WWE is planning for the match, and Fightful reported over the weekend that there had been pitches internally for Lee to return, and it's also been heavily implied by Punk on Raw when he asked general manager Adam Pearce where SmackDown is on Friday, and I think that's probably where I would guess AJ Lee returns, because it's in Chicago, it's with Punk, but it doesn't make sense that you have him there if Seth isn't going to be there. Kind of weird. It's just whatever. I mean, again, they've long since thrown away their own brand rules or adherence to any of those draft rules. So anyone can go anywhere just because. And having Punk do it in Chicago makes sense. And I think the pop would have been bigger though had Becky been there. Now she still could. Becky still can show up on SmackDown and say, surprise, I followed you here, and, just to tell your hometown crowd what a piece of trash you are. I mean, whatever. And then that's when AJ Lee comes out. That's very possible. But the pop will be bigger if Becky's there, slapping Punk while Punk is pretending he can't retaliate. So Fightful also reported that they were told Lee's WrestlePalooza match, quote, isn't necessarily a one-off, and the company hopes they can do more with her. Staff and talent the outlet spoke with said they hadn't seen or spoken to Lee since she left the company in 2015, but the relationship remained pleasant over the years. There were also a number of women who grew up watching AJ, but never got to work with her, who were shocked her return is reportedly happening and are very excited. So, I mean, I agree. I mean, I hope for AJ Lee, she was one, even during the Divas era, that is today berated because of just, I mean, it's berated in the sense that, the women still weren't taken seriously. They may have been less sexualized, but they were still no more being taken seriously than they were in the Attitude Era. You had a few women who'd wrestle and could talk. AJ Lee was one of those few. You still had silly gimmicks and women were getting 2-minute matches. So AJ Lee was one of the few serious ones before the real revolution began with the 4 Horsewomen, and we know the rest. But AJ Lee was one of those few that, sure, she obviously was very attractive to most people, and she fit the bill to be very friendly with the camera, let's say. But beyond that, that's where I think she really made an impact, was her ability to talk was so good. I feel like people forget how good AJ Lee is on the mic. Her cadence, her selection of words, the way she speaks, and I hope that still has retained after all these years, her ability to do that, because that is really what helped. And in the ring, I remember her being good. Not outstanding by today's standards, but certainly can have a match. And, I think that this is going to be, upon her return now, that is all but confirmed, it's going to be a massive reaction. And I hope it is a multi-match type deal, or maybe she just re-enters wrestling a little bit. Not on a full-time basis, but perhaps she enters the women's division, maybe chases a belt or two, and then she goes about her business. I mean, it's possible. This may not be a one-off. I hope it's not a one-off. She is an excellent extension of CM Punk. She is. And even before her and Punk got together, you had AJ Lee, as I said, on her own, doing her own thing and making waves. After all these years, people have been asking, throughout the years, asking, is AJ Lee coming back? Oh, perhaps the Royal Rumble. Like this year, we thought for sure she was going to be a part of the Royal Rumble. She never ended up being a part of the Royal Rumble. Even in past years, people have predicted it. Oh, this is a great time for her to come back this time, that time. How awesome would that be? Rumors, nothing ever materialized. And then here we go. Perfect stage set up. The table is set for AJ to return. And yes, we all know it's going to happen, but it's still going to be fun. While the surprise is taken out of it, it's still, there's that anticipation is building for her return. And there's going to be AJ Lee chants. It's going to be, especially if it's overseas. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not overseas. In Chicago, duh. Chicago is one of our louder U.S. cities, so they're going to be going crazy for AJ Lee. It's a perfect time and place for this to happen, and I couldn't be more excited for it, as many of us are. Not that she's going to tear the house down with her matches, but she's a presence that I feel like she, for all the accolades I just mentioned about her her ability to talk and her in-ring and her presence and all the rest, I feel like it never got to fully flesh out. It feels like we never got to see all of what we wanted to with it. Like it feels like there's unfinished business with AJ Lee. It feels like she left quickly. Obviously with her husband leaving and all the drama that happened with CM Punk that was very well publicized, in the mid 2000s, 2010s rather. AJ Lee was very much on board with, leaving and separating her life from wrestling and just, living her life with her husband. But it felt like we didn't get all of AJ Lee. It felt like we were kind of, there was more juice to squeeze out of AJ Lee, the character. And so now it's good to see, albeit 10 years later, that we get to see what that is. And maybe there's more in there than we think. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited for it. Yeah, the surprise is the surprise element has been taken away, but yeah. So let's see. Any other news going on here? I'm taking a look. We have, let's see here. Ric Flair commenting on Raja Jackson, reveals who he's had to punch in the ring. And so this is just a quick comment on those that do care from Ric Flair about his take on the Raja Jackson incident involving Psycho Stu at Knox X Pro Wrestling event. And Flair spoke with The Escapist on Tuesday and offered his thoughts. And he said he is close to Rampage Jackson, the father of Raja Jackson, who he tried calling and said that he could somewhat understand losing their temper at the moment, but not to that extent, Flair said. And he said, quote, "A receipt here or there keeps everybody straight, but not to that extent." Flair said he wasn't sure how anyone could defend Jackson's actions, but said it's hard to know the extent of what happened unless you're actually there. The Nature Boy told The Escapist he had never lost his cool in the ring, but he did defend himself. "I've had to punch some guys back like Vader just because he was always trying to rough me up," and said, but I've only had to punch a few guys, one punch, and then everybody calms down, smooth it over. Stu, who has since been released from the hospital, which is good news, was left unresponsive after Jackson got in the ring and slammed him before delivering numerous shoot strikes to his head and face. And so, I mean, obviously Raja Jackson has a ton of legal issues ahead of him. This is not the end of it. Luckily for Jackson, we didn't get the worst case scenario of Psycho Stu having him actually die from this, which is good news. But the LAPD is still investigating the incident. No arrests have been made, which is actually really just impossible. You have somebody streaming live on their own channel. You have this thing went massively viral. It's on tape, and yet the LAPD are like, well, I don't know. How have no arrests been made? How have there been no arrests made when you have an insanely viral assault, which is what it was, make its way around the internet, and they're like, well, I don't know. There can't be any confusion here unless they're trying to figure out the charges that they want to hit Raja Jackson with. Aggravated assault? I mean, I don't know. Assault in what degree? Maybe. But this needs to be swift and quick. You can't be delaying this crap. So I hope that this legal action is coming shortly. So, all right, well, that'll do it here for the Monday Night Raw review / a little bit of news, updates in the news that you guys care about, hopefully. And I appreciate all your support. If you guys want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. No better place to do it than there or on Apple Podcast as well at the WWE Podcast on Apple. We're going to try to do more live shows this week if we can on Patreon. I did one that was for the wrestling, I want to say WrestlePalooza, for the Clash in Paris. I did the Clash in Paris preview and prediction show live on Patreon. Again, you guys, any live shows that do happen are only available for patrons. So those of you on the free side of things, unfortunately, it's a no-go, but that's just one small incentive to get you to go on to Patreon if you want to check out the ad-free side of things. Patreon.com/WWE podcast. Now, I'll be back on Friday with your mailbag and maybe some other news items. And we'll be also here with your After Dark show that is available to you on Wednesdays for patrons only. So check that out. I have, over the last week or so, put out a sample show of the After Dark show, so you can kind of get a taste of what that show is that's available exclusive to patrons. So check out the After Dark show that is done every single week, not by me. So if you want to change in voice, you can do that. Luis Gonzalez, who does an excellent job, better than I am, and I'm not just saying that to blow smoke up his ass. He is better than I am on the mic in terms of just being a podcaster. It's like he's born to do it. Check it out. I really encourage you to, even if it's only the sample audio for the After Dark show. So that will do it for me, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be back in just a few days with your mailbag. So send in those questions to mailbag@wwepodcast.com, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to wwepodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.